It is no doubt we are in an epidemic right now with social media, and all these studies are confirming what we've kind of already known, how terrible social media is for your mental health. To say this is an epidemic is an understatement. Every one of us are glued on our phones 24/7. I've literally just preached about this last Sunday, and I recently have put a screen time lock on my phone. So it locks me out of apps when I spend too much time on them because I'm disgusted by how many times I pick up my phone during the day. I'm disgusted by how easy it is to scroll my life away on social media. But yeah, scientists and studies are saying it's damaging. It's worse than drugs. I call it digital fentanyl, social media addiction. We need to break free from this, guys. I'm just going to react to some of these clips about how bad it really is on your mental health.
Checking Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, other social media is all part of our normal routine, right? And keeping tabs on friends and family across the world can help to make you feel more connected. But there's a negative side to that unchecked screen time, which can lead to poor sleep, memory issues, and poor overall mental health. Joining me now with more is...
I'm telling you, the rise of depression, anxiety, all this stuff is linked to the social media addiction we have in our culture right now. This is crazy. This is, if you remember growing up without this, and then now that we have it, it's plagued everybody.
Isaiahlukesaldivar, a professor of psychiatry and behavioral neurosciences at Wayne State University in Detroit, Michigan. Professor, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. So why is social media so addictive, and why do we feel that burst of happiness when someone likes one of our posts?
Thank you, Whit, for having me. Well, I think one of the problems with social media and the incessant novelty that it generates is it keeps the brain in what is called constant exploratory mode. And so the brain is constantly now in a position where it's looking for novelty, but it's actually never settling on anything.
Wow.
And we always transition in our own lives between exploration and exploitation. We look for things, but then we settle on something and we use it. The problem with social media is it actually engages many of the same addiction mechanisms. It's not the same thing as substance use addictions, for example, but I think in the brain, it engages many of the addiction mechanisms which keep people glued to the constant act of looking for things, but never settling on anything.
That's so interesting the way you explain it. Is like I've thought about that before, but you really added some clarity to it. You're in this constant state of exploration. And what are the
If your kids are on social media or they have TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, get them off yesterday. It is so damaging for your mental health. I mean, we all should be probably just off all of it, period. You're like, well, you do social media. I'm trying to reach people in darkness, but I myself am not consuming. I'm not consuming like that. I told you guys I've locked my things because I don't want to be a consumer and be addicted and have my brain rewired, which it already has been, like so many of us. We got to break free from this, guys. It is damaging.
Here. Social media just focuses so heavily on physical appearance and pushing users to add filters to their posts. How can these altered images affect our mental health, specifically in young people?
Well, I mean, you're seeing it in the community. You're seeing it with an increase in depression, with an increase in anxiety. Yeah. I think the reward circuitry in adolescent brains is being rewired as we speak.
Why are we letting our children have social media, smartphones, TikTok, Instagram? Look at this. No.
These effects will not be known for some years. When people are constantly looking for gratification online, they always need their posts to be liked, to be responded to. I think we're entering an extremely dangerous age, and we're seeing some of the effects now. And I think a lot of the effects which we don't know and which I personally fear will not be known for some years still.
So social media, or let me ask you a question about parents specifically. I'm a parent. I have two young children, two girls in middle school. So this social media thing is a big discussion in our household. How can parents keep their children using social media in a safe way? And what are some ways to help wean kids off their devices, especially as they get ready to go back to school?
Well, the first thing that I always think about is, parents have to set an example themselves.
Oh, you hear that? Parents have to set an example themselves. Oh, I felt that.
I think the way kids very much emulate what parents do. And I think the kinds of behaviors, the patterns of behaviors that parents engage in are likely to be emulated by kids. And so if you find a way to stay off your own social media, there's a higher chance that kids will do as well. I think there are now more and more resources that you can use to talk to your kids about the dangers of social media. There are some excellent documentaries out there. There's an excellent one on Netflix called The Social Dilemma. There are more and more academic papers. I think there are conclusively demonstrating what the short-term impacts of social media are. I would suggest that parents acquaint themselves with many of these resources, understand what these results are telling us, and find a way to communicate this to your kids.
Get them off it. All right, look at this one. How smartphones, will this work?
How much time do you spend doing this? According to a survey,
How smartphone addiction might be hurting our
the
brain.
average smartphone user scrolls the equivalent of 78 miles a year. That's 3 marathons. It may be good exercise for your finger, but there is evidence it may be hurting your brain. Meg Oliver has tonight's Eye on America.
Think about this. The whole world is addicted to something that's damaging our brains, that's distracting us from what God has for us, that's literally ruining the wiring, the brain that God has given us. And it's social media. It's crazy. I mean, just think about the damage.
Katie Page Rosenberg, a freshman at the University of North Carolina, Asheville,
2 successes, 2 failures.
recently realized what too much scrolling was doing to her.
How many hours were you spending on your phone?
Oh God, probably like 9.
9 hours?
I was just kind of constantly on it.
9 hours. Okay. And everyone's like, oh, that's so crazy. I dare you to turn your screen time on your phone and you will see that you're upwards like 5, 6, 7 hours just opening messages, using YouTube, looking at things. It's crazy. It's scary when you turn on your screen time and start seeing how much time you spend every day on social media.
You may have heard stories like hers before.
I wasn't able to focus because I would have to take out my phone every couple of minutes.
But now you can actually
Stories like her, that's everybody. You might have heard stories like this. That's literally everybody's this story.
see the science behind it.
Smartphones have wide-reaching changes all over the brain, and specifically it grows here and it shrinks there.
Psychiatrist Brent Nelson is applying this new science at Newport Healthcare, which has mental health treatment centers for teens across the country.
This is a brain that's addicted to a smartphone.
These are MRI images from a
This is
recent study
crazy.
in Korea. All the red indicates increases in brain activity, the effects of smartphone addiction.
Do you want your brain to be this colorful?
You don't.
Why?
Well, because this is showing where the brain is working extra hard compared to a non-addicted brain when asked to do actually a pretty simple task.
Everyone's like, my brain's on fire all the time.
Addicted smartphone users' brains were so colorful, so active, it made them less attentive and more easily distracted. What's now informally called brain rot.
What does that look like in real life?
Yeah,
Brain
let's take
rot.
school, for example. Sitting in class, and you're trying to focus. They're gonna be looking around, not attending to what the teacher is trying to teach them.
Dr. Nelson says emerging research points to even greater risks.
We're just starting to see these changes, and we know they're connected to behavioral changes, depression, anxiety. The dangers are hiding in there.
Social media had really influenced me in a lot of ways. TikTok would kind of push these videos of people popping an edible before school, and I was like, if I do this, maybe I'll be cool, and I started self-medicating.
To deal with that, last year she checked into a treatment facility.
If you hadn't gone to treatment, where would you be today?
I don't think I'd be here. It was
Wow.
really bad.
Katie had to give up her phone in treatment. There, she found other outlets from drawing to playing guitar that helped rewire her Gen Z brain. The key,
You really have
perhaps,
to detox yourself and get yourself off to rewire your brain.
analog antidotes reminiscent of another generation.
Playing in the dirt, drinking from the hose, sort of the Gen X kind of mentality, is shown to actually allow folks to recover, to feel better, to make it easier to kind of go about their day.
In short, it's good to stop scrolling and start strumming. For Eye on America, I'm Meg Oliver in Asheville.
Okay, imagine that, except from a biblical perspective. Stop scrolling and start seeking the Lord. I mean, how much of our destiny, our calling, our time is spent on social media, on smartphones? It's such a distraction, guys. It's what the devil wants. He doesn't need to demonize, addict you to this and that. He just needs to distract you from what God has for your life. And again, I'm saying it as a victim as well, as somebody that's dealing with it as well. Having to go on as a grown man, I'm 34 years old, and I have to go on and lock myself out, put screen time limits on my phone so it locks me out of apps, because it's such a hard thing to not pick up the phone 24/7, not look at social media, not respond to messages. And this is from someone that does this for a living. Literally, this is what I do full time. I'm preaching on social media, but still, We cannot allow this to consume our life, to destroy our destiny. I would highly challenge all of you to lock yourself out of apps if you have to, delete apps if you have to. And honestly, if this video just gets you to get your kids off social media, get your kids off social media. There's nothing beneficial about your children being on TikTok, being on Instagram, being on YouTube, any of that. Get them off of it completely. Get them outside. Get them doing things. I can't even think of a time where I'm going to allow my kids on social media. I mean, maybe when they move out of the house or they're 18, I'm not sure. But there's no reason why my 15 or 16-year-old should be on TikTok, be on Instagram, be on Facebook, be on any of it. It's not beneficial to them whatsoever. This is dangerous, guys. People are dealing with, it's an epidemic. People dealing with this, and it's damaging our social interaction. It's damaging our mental health, depression, anxiety, suicide, all of that skyrocketing because of it. And the devil loves it. So let's fight against it. Let's get serious about it. We're live every Monday teaching the Bible at 5 o'clock and Thursday at 5 o'clock with our podcast. Pray about becoming a monthly partner down below at isaiahsaldivar.com/partner. And we'll see you guys in the next video. God bless.